Okay.
All right, we're back with another awesome episode of Life on the Ave. Thank you all for joining us. I'm sitting here with the infamous John Bilek.
Uh-oh, infamous.
Very excited to have him here. So sit back, relax. I'm going to run through your bio, let the audience who may not know you get to know you a little bit, and then we'll jump into it. So thanks for coming on.
That's great to be here.
All right, so John Bilek brings over 20 years of elite real estate sales and management experience to his role as National Head of Sales Management at Compass. A proven mentor with exceptional marketing skills, he is responsible for the growth and expansion of the Compass brand and for supporting the company's mission and helping people find their place in the world. John began his real estate career as a sales associate and quickly climbed the ranks to place amongst the top 2% of realtors nationwide. He then moved into a management role directing a $150 million sales office and became the regional vice president responsible for southeastern Pennsylvania and northern Delaware. At Compass, John has served as managing director in Philadelphia and most recently has been appointed national head of sales management. Throughout his career, John has managed more than $10 billion in real estate sales. Prior to real estate, he worked in management and consulting with PwC. John holds a bachelor's degree in finance from Penn State and earned his MBA at the University of Delaware. Go Hens. He and his family reside in Centerville, Delaware, where they enjoy the area's great small town vibe combined with easy accessibility. In his free time, John enjoys athletic pursuits, including skiing, squash, golf. Not in here is running, but you also run. Creative pursuits such as drawing and painting, and spending time with his 3 daughters. So welcome.
Whew, my bio is getting too long.
It is
showing my age.
It is getting long. 20 years of experience. Sheesh.
I think 25 now.
I know. I was going to say it's probably longer than that.
Yeah.
So welcome. Thanks for coming on.
It's great to be here, Mary.
Yes,
Thanks for having me.
It's an honor. So anyone that doesn't know, John is with us. We are so blessed to have him, even though he's in a national role at Compass. He sits locally in our Delaware office, and our Delaware whole community is so lucky to have you here.
Thank you so
how
much.
did you get here? Start wherever you want to take it. How did you get here?
Yeah, so celebrating 25 years in the business.
Wow.
So out of college in Penn State, I was a finance major. I
Nice.
love numbers, always loved math.
Finance, bro.
And that's right. I've got the vest. I've got
vest,
the whole thing.
yeah.
I've got a closet full of them.
You have a Garment Group one.
That's right. I do. It's hanging in my office. So, back and then, consulting was like what everybody's going into. So I went into management consulting with Pricewaterhouse. Incredible company. It was really internet consulting or IT consulting. And after 12 months, I was bored to tears.
Sure.
You'd like have a huddle with your team and then you'd go to a cube for 8 hours and come back. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about what did I really love? Even like from when I was early young teenager, my first jobs. And it was customer service. I mowed lawns. I worked at Buckley's Tavern, waiting tables and bartending. And I said, I really like customer service.
Yeah.
But I still like the financial number side. So I said to myself, what can I do? And it's funny, I was having brunch with my parents. I was living in Center City, Philly, Rittenhouse Square. And I had brunch with my parents one Sunday.
How old are you, like 22?
I was
23?
23-ish at the time. Had this great apartment, great, setup,
dream.
right, it was all great, except I hated my job.
Yeah.
And my dad goes, well, have you thought about real estate? I said, no, because you always told me don't go into sales. And it was kind of ironic that he was the one who came back and said, think about it. So long story short, I met with a brokerage and I sat down. I said, listen, I don't know anything about your business, but I'm a hard worker and just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
Wow. So then did you just go straight to get your license?
I did. Yeah. So I quit my job.
Yep.
I moved back home. My friends thought I was totally nuts. What are you doing? And I said, I got to follow this passion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then what did you do? What was the first step? Did you join a team? Did you go out on your own?
I was very fortunate. So, teams really weren't all the rage yet. So I was very lucky that the first broker I met, I looked at what he had done and I said, boy, if I could be half as successful as him, I'll be really happy. And he teed me up with 2 incredible mentors.
Perfect.
These 2 women who were partners, Dottie and Michelle were their names. And they took me under their wings. And whether I was smart or naive, I just did what they told me. So my first manager said,
How
okay.
old were they at the time?
They
older?
were probably in their 50s.
Yeah,
my
nice.
manager was probably 45.
Those are the ones that crush it. They're killing it, I bet. Yeah.
And my manager said, listen, here are the 5 things to do, right? And basically he laid out the initial basic business plan for this business, right? And I treated it like any other job. I woke up, I got dressed, I put my jacket on. Back then we would dress up. I showed up at the office And I worked for 8 hours. I worked as long as I needed to meet my goals, right? So then the number side, I said, okay, if I want to have X sales, I need to meet this number of people. And it's a math equation.
Right. You just work backwards.
Exactly.
Yep.
And some days I hit my number at 2:00 and I might go play 9 holes of golf.
Nice.
Other days it was 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Midnight,
But I didn't stop. But more importantly, I was having fun.
Good.
And I was meeting a lot of people.
Who was your first sale? Do you remember it?
My parents.
Your parents? Love this.
I mean, I was really lucky. So my parents were at that age when they wanted to downsize.
Yep.
They were thinking about downsizing, so they bought a new home. So I got to sell them that. And then my first listing was their house.
Wow. It's a lot of pressure.
Which was really cool. Yeah, I ended up having multiple offers
Wow.
and my own buyer. So I had multiple offers, dual agency on my parents. I mean, talk about like
a lot.
thrown into the deep end.
Yeah. Did your buyer get it?
No.
No. Okay, well, good. Good agent.
For all the right reasons.
Good.
Right? So, but then I was thinking about, okay, I'm 23, 24 maybe at this time. None of my friends were buying houses yet, right?
Right, it's hard.
So one of the reasons I moved back home was because that's where I had a network. And my network were my friends' parents and my parents' friends. And I just went hard on that group.
Good for you.
And at one point I had 17% market share in the township that I grew up.
Holy smokes. That's
Personally,
amazing.
yeah.
So I was Vincent's first sale, which is
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So first sale he ever did was our first house.
Get out.
You know, the Instagram post was both of us with the sign, but like I say all the time, it was my house.
That's so
I
great.
bought the
Were
house.
you dating already?
We were dating.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We
I
were
wasn't
fully
sure if that
dating.
turned into dating. That would
And
be a
I
great
will
story.
say, no. I will say the down payment that I had for that house, the $8,000 down payment I had put down, I earned babysitting, and he came to babysitting with me.
That is so cool.
So was it both our house? I don't know, but yeah, my first
it.
sale was with him. So how long were you in the sales side specifically?
So I sold that was 2000, and I sold through 2004. And over that time, they started then giving me new agents to mentor. And I was so grateful that I had these great mentors. I wanted to give back, and I enjoyed helping new agents get into the business. And then my manager became a regional vice president. He said, John, would you ever consider management? And, I was already the number one agent in that office. And I said, okay, I'm ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, new challenge.
And I was starting a family, and it was like, felt like the right thing to do. But more, it was about how could I impact more people.
Right.
So it's like I could sell 30, 40 homes a year and impact, that
40
number of
families,
clients.
right.
Or I could help 50 agents impact 30 families each. And I said, this is how I could scale my impact.
Yeah.
And it gets back to that drive for customer service.
Yep.
How could I just add more value to people? So,
and what
so it was
fuels your
about
fire?
4.5, 5 years in, I went into the management side.
Wow.
And boy, was that a learning curve.
Big change.
I was like 28. I went in to manage this office where the agents would remind me that
How young
they
you
had
were.
been in the business longer than I had been on the planet.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how was that transition? Hard.
It's challenging. You're
Yeah.
just, young guy.
I'm gonna teach
I
you.
know, I know all the right answers. So I really cut my teeth in that first office.
But I'm sure at that time, and probably even true today, if a 28-year-old came into a role like similar to you, you're bringing a whole new generation of technology, of how the old people are doing things
I had
versus
to earn
young.
their respect.
Yes.
And where it started to flip, and it took several months, was when they saw me recruiting other top agents and helping them win their business.
Right.
That's where they said, oh, maybe some of the things he's doing is good. And I had to learn that to say, hey, don't stop what you're doing. Obviously, you've been successful, but maybe think about some of these newer things to do.
Right.
So
Awesome. So when did we switch to Compass?
So 2017, so now I'm 17 years in the business. I was starting to get a little disenfranchised with the industry. At my old brokerage, the culture started to shift. It became more about the bottom line or the monthly P&L and not about the people as much anymore. And I just wasn't having fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I need to make a change. I was pretty far down the road on another opportunity when Compass called in the spring of 18 and said, hey, would you help come launch our Philadelphia
Trying
market?
to do math.
So
Okay,
spring of 2018,
Okay.
right? I get the phone call. And one of my good friends and colleagues at my other brokerage had gone back into sales and was going to be the founding team at Compass in Philly.
Wow.
So they said, come be the first sales manager in Center City. And I said, listen, I'm not your Center City guy.
Right. I moved out of there.
Right. I don't know anything about it. They said, no, don't worry. So I went up to New York, and I was so lucky. Back then I got to interview with Robert Refkin, our CEO, Matt Spangler, head of marketing,
Wow.
Puneet Kant, who was head of our growth. And I just listened in awe. And all those things that I was getting disenfranchised because of, they had the answer to.
Yeah, exactly.
It was all about culture. And ultimately they said, we want you to spend most of your time with your agents. And I said, well,
Wow.
who's going to recruit? Who's going to manage the facility? They said, don't worry, we have teams for that.
Right.
So they laid out this division of labor, and it really gets to the core of our mission at Compass is keep the agent in the center of the transaction, give them the best of everything, and the rest will take care of itself. So I said, listen, if it's half as good as you're telling me, I'm in.
It's amazing.
And
it's a similar story to us. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When we joined, go ahead.
And sorry, I didn't realize technology-wise how at 42 I was becoming obsolete.
Right.
Because I didn't have access. So it was like, who's thinking about the next 30 years in real estate?
Yep. Compass. Yeah. And that's when, so we're talking 2018. This is when at least I joined the team 2021. And I feel like I was 1 or 2 years behind on the social media stuff. And we've since caught up, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But 2018, 2019, that's when marketing, content, social medias are really starting to take off. 2020 is when TikTok hit.
Yep.
So it's like, I think
sure.
since TikTok, since COVID, the social media marketing and the technology in real estate has just quadrupled.
I'm embarrassed to say I wasn't on Instagram when I came to Compass.
Sure.
So 2 weeks in, I gave a gift card to one of our marketing advisors. I said, Rachna, can you please get me, just show me the way. So
you didn't fight the change. I love it. I love it. And that's, I think, true to Compass. I mean, in all ways, like for us, when Vincent joined Compass, he was on his like 4th or 5th brokerage at this point.
Yeah.
And every time he switched, we would lose a deal or he'd get cut out of a deal and we'd lose a bunch of money and it'd be super frustrating when he would switch.
Sure.
So when he came to me and said, I'm switching to Compass, I'm like, no, you're done. You're not switching anymore. You're done. And he's like, keeps coming back. I'm going to switch to Compass. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch. What is Compass? No one's heard of Compass. I'm going crazy. I'm like, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. Finally, I got on a sales call with whoever was his recruiter. You would know. I'm going to blank on his name.
Matt Cain.
Yes, Matt Cain. I got on a call with Matt Cain, and Vincent's like, you have to convince my wife. I'm in. You have to convince my wife. And I'm not even on the team yet.
Yeah.
I'm just Vince Garman's, manager. So I sit on a call with him, and I was doing commercial brokerage at the time. And same exact thing that you just said, everything that you were starting to be disenfranchised with, which is how I was feeling at my previous company. Just lack of social media, lack of technology, lack of camaraderie, lack of teamwork. This guy's put on a screen everything right in front of me. Your marketing center is Canva, and I was huge on Canva. Your business tracker connects with your finances, and everything spoke to each other. And I was just like, holy smokes, like you got to join today. Like, what are we waiting for? So it's crazy. Similar stories.
And I don't want it to sound like we're good and they're not. There's so many amazing people in our industry. We were just fortunate that we were able. Well, one, we had a CEO with this vision, right, to do something different, grounded in this passion to help these million entrepreneurs in this country, all realtors, right?
Yep.
And then we had the good fortune to raise over $1 billion so we could build something different. That's the challenge. We've got such a head start, such an advantage that it's in today's world, it's virtually impossible for anybody to raise that kind of capital to build. So we were just very fortunate at the time, in the mid 20 teens that we could raise that kind of money and build something unique.
So you're in the Philly office for 2018. How long were you based in Philly?
So I drove to Philly every day for a year, had a great team. Sky Michaels was my co-manager there. And then we launched the Main Line, which is the luxury suburbs. And so I went a year there. And the whole time, don't forget, I'm pitching Delaware for the company.
Right. I'm like, I'm from Delaware.
Right. And then I think it was March 13th, 2020, COVID hits.
Holy smokes.
So we all go back. I remember this so vividly. We're like, all right, maybe see you in a week. Right? We all packed up our things and went home. I think it was a Thursday. And then we spent whatever it was, 8 months in home, which was such a drag. But if anything, it brought us closer. It forced us. And I think we took advantage of that. I think we found ways to keep the culture going, even though when you couldn't be in person. So anyway, got out of COVID and I said, all right, it's time to launch Delaware.
Which is when do you consider that we got out of COVID?
It's hard to believe it's already 5 years.
I know. 5 years.
I guess the end of 2020, right? Isn't that when we started kind of getting back to life?
Yeah.
So in 2021, we launched Delaware, which was, a passion for me. I was the first sales manager, so I was Vince's first sales manager, which was so exciting. I hope I lent him some good guidance in the beginning. And then hired some great support here, Michael Morbido and the team, and then launched the Greenville office and the Matola Group and all these other great folks who joined, which is fantastic. And now here we are. We're number one office in Newcastle County. We're the number one brokerage in the country for 4 years in a row. And the cool thing is I feel like we're just getting started.
100% agree. I feel like we haven't even hit our stride yet.
Not at all.
Not even close. I think people are starting to now recognize the signs, recognize the branding. When I say I'm at Compass for a while, I'd get like a look. But now it's like people know who we are.
Well, what's cool is, we're in every major metro for the most part, every luxury location and vacation. So when people go to Naples in the winter, or they vacation and ski in Vail, Colorado, or they go to Martha's Vineyard, they see Compass. So it starts to connect these dots throughout the country. And I think not only for consumer visibility and consumer awareness, because they're starting to see that, but now for our agents to be able to be part of this national network, which is so unique. There are national brands, but there's no national brand under one roof, right? So there's brokerages, if they're franchises, they're not connected. They're not actually talking to each other. I just came back from Denver last week with our annual retreat, and it was fantastic. I hope we get some time to talk about that. But I came back equally exhausted and energized.
That party looked like a blast.
So much fun.
That wrap-up party looked amazing. I'm so mad we couldn't go this year.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
But now we have the ability to connect agents under one roof, same leadership. So part of my national role is I have 350 sales leaders throughout the country. I can pick up the phone. Any market, tell me I've got a manager and an agent who I've become not just a connection with, but friends with.
Yes.
Because that's the culture here.
Totally. Yeah, well, if we have a referral, I'll reach out to Michael Morabito. I'll be like, hey, we have somebody that's moving to the Carolinas, whatever.
Yeah.
He's not just going on some site, typing it in. He's like, nope, this is my guy. I met him. I know him. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Our kids played softball together, whatever. And that's been absolutely incredible. And we're huge on the referral business. I would say 10 to 15% of our business is Compass referrals.
That's awesome. The national stat is it's 18% now.
Yeah.
So 18% of our deals, which is 250,000 deals, are Compass to Compass.
It's amazing.
So that I think is one of the most valuable things about Compass, but also my first bit of advice for any Compass agent, tap into that network. And if you need help, just ask me.
Yep. There's amazing affinity groups. We're in a couple of them. Vincent's in one, retired college athletes. He's in a group of them. We're in Married at Compass. That's our favorite.
Oh yeah. That's great.
Just because working with your spouse has its challenges. So when you're surrounded by people that understand those challenges, it's very nice. So we're super involved with Married at Compass. And Cole Cyber's been involved with Compass YPN, Young Professionals. So I always tell people, if you're going to come to Compass, you have to get involved. You have to join a group. One, the support's amazing, just to, again, know that other married couples are going through what we are.
For sure.
But the opportunities that come from it, especially in Delaware, we have people moving here from everywhere in the country,
it's great,
flocking to Delaware. So we've been getting a ton of referrals. It's amazing.
Great.
So when you open the Delaware office, your main goal was, we want to bring in the top agents, the top teams. We want to bring in that top, what percentage is it?
Well, generally speaking, it originally was bring over the top 10%, and then help them double their business. That's how you get to 20% market share.
Right.
But we throw around, and our industry is really, I'll say, bad at all these rankings and number one this and number one that.
I hate them all.
It's funny. Quick story. So when we launched Philly, a lot of our initial founding agents said, you know what, we're not into rankings. And I said, thank God. So I remember a lot of them throwing away all the crystal and the plaques.
Yes, they're so dumb.
It was so empowering. I went home that night and threw away all these dumb plaques that were just collecting dust over the years.
Yes.
And it sort of was like this. It's like, if you're going to join Compass, it's not that you're high in production, but you're also culturally like-minded. That's equally important to us.
Yes.
Do you like to collaborate? Do you like to share ideas? Do you see the value in business begets business? Meaning, if I help you win a listing and you're in my office, that will come back to me some way.
Yes.
And that, I think, is what is maybe not known on the outside world. It's not just hire the number one producer. We've said no to some really, really high producers because they wouldn't fit. Right. They wouldn't feel comfortable here, right? So it has to be that mutual fit. So to answer your question, generally it's we hire the highest in production, but with that culturally like-minded status.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. So how, when you come to Delaware is a very much I want to say we're very loyal to our brands, right? We're very old school.
Absolutely.
This
Especially
is the way we've always done it, you know. Things, people don't like change in Delaware. When you look at the Jan Patricks of the world, who was how many years?
35 years at another company.
Exactly. So it's these people, and I remember when Vincent switched to Compass, we had a friend and mentor that was going to Compass is suicide. You are business, if you're not at Long and Foster, you're not here on this team, whatever. So how do you then fight that uphill battle with, the Jan Patricks, the Stephen Mattolas, these big teams?
Well, listen, and I'll share Jan's story. Jan has always been an innovator as well. She was thinking ahead, and she said, what could I do to tee my team up for success for the next 35 years, right? So I give her credit for thinking ahead. Listen, it was harder then when we were not a known entity.
Right.
One of the things when we first launched in Philly was we had to coach our agents on how to talk to clients because they were saying, we don't even, there were no signs in the ground yet.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we're number one in the country, so there's some visibility there. But I think you have to break it down into why? Why are we different? What makes us unique? And our business is one of education to consumers. So one by one, explaining to them what we bring to the table to help ultimately them either find the home of their dreams because we have access to more inventory, or sell their home at a higher price because both our agents and technology and marketing have proven to generate a higher sales price, net sales price. So I think it's just getting those opportunities to sit down and talk to people.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we do have amazing people at Compass. We're very, very blessed. So do you ever, in your role now, especially more the management side, do you miss the sales side at all?
So I was out in Pittsburgh yesterday visiting my crew out there, and one of the agents said, do you miss sales? I said, I absolutely miss sales.
Have to, right?
I love going on listing appointments.
Yes.
I still get to. I'll tell agents, please bring me along. I want to stay close to the business. I still have a couple agents who report directly to me. I never want to be that leader who's so far from the business that doesn't know what's going on in the trenches.
Yeah.
But no,
I think that's why you're so relatable, though.
I love closing.
Yes, it's an addiction.
It is. So I still get those highs because I still get to help, whether it be popping into a recruiting meeting or help, grow the organization. Fast forward, I joined as a sales manager. I'm now this national role, which really all that means is I get to impact more people.
Right.
And that's what drives me. I wake up every morning excited to come to this company, throw new ideas at the wall, leverage what we've got, and I get to work with the 350 the best industry leaders.
Right.
Not just leaders at Compass, in the industry.
Right.
So I kind of went on a tangent there.
Yeah, I love it. What's it like working for Rob Refkin? So anyone that, most of our listeners probably won't know him. He's our CEO. He's amazing. I am obsessed with him. I just love, he says it like it is. He's not afraid to use his voice and say what he thinks is right and wrong in this industry. When he puts up his articles or screenshots, or he's calling out, our board of realtors, right? He is a pioneer, not only technology wise, just with his voice. He is willing to stand up for agents and stand up for the consumer. What's it like working for someone like him?
So I think the one word that always comes to mind when I think of Robert is authentic.
Yes.
And that he is who he is. He's never going to be anything other than that. And he has also stayed true to this mission, which has been beneficial for the organization. Investors have said that, Zillow, Open Door, they changed their model over the years. We've always stayed true to our mission of putting the agent at the center of the transaction and build around that. So I don't report directly to Robert, but I get to spend a decent amount of time now with him, and he'll call me occasionally or text me. And he's just a real guy. And
he's a real guy.
What I've learned sitting in a recruiting appointment with him, he's a great listener. He knows how to ask really, really good questions. He's never afraid to take ideas. It's never about him.
Right.
He will keep asking until he understands a situation. So
he flies coach.
Oh,
we love that.
Absolutely.
I just relate to him on a lot.
But here's the last piece. So here he is. He starts this company 13 years ago. We now have 37,000 agents. Okay, at Compass.
Amazing.
He still calls every single new principal agent when they join, the day they join.
Right.
And he gives his cell number out.
It's amazing.
To 37,000 people. What CEO at any organization that size would do that?
It's amazing.
And it just shows, and he doesn't do it for a headline.
For the click, right.
He does it because he wants to hear, he wants to recognize, and he believes in this mission. So very powerful.
And I listened to his wife speak. She came to Delaware and gave a talk just about her role in the company, outside the company as a mom, and it's so crazy. Anyone that was at that event, she spoke at Pizza by Elizabeth's two-ish years
the
ago.
Women of Compass event.
And I had just had Murphy. I was pregnant with Winslow, and she's talking about being a mom, and I was full blown hysterics. Like, I don't know if it was hormones or what it was, but I was full blown hysterics. And I'm in a room with other Compass women.
That's right.
And I'm only at this point, maybe 18 months in at Compass. And I, since then, have felt so supported by the women at this company. And I just feel super, super empowered by Robert, his whole family. He's a dad. He's a husband.
He leads by example, you know,
exactly.
and you know, also inclusivity is very important to him and this organization. But, you know, he brings his whole family to open houses on Sundays, right?
Obsessed.
And Benice, his wife, is there every time. And it's great to see how she has grown into a voice of the industry as well.
Exactly.
So
I love her. Yeah. So I follow them both. I stalk them. Yeah. So there is a lot of change happening in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And our team has taken, I think Compass in general has taken the approach of just, let's face this head on. We're not going to run from it. We're not going to hide from it. And specifically, there's a lot going on with Zillow, with listings. From your perspective, if you could dumb this down to, you know, my friends that are listening to this, right? People that don't do this every day. What, from your perspective, what's kind of happening?
Yeah. Let's go back in time for just a moment.
Cool.
So when the internet came into play to disseminate information on real estate, it was like, oh, amazing. Right now, everybody in the world can see all these things. Fast forward, we were a little asleep at the wheel as an industry. We let what we call a third-party website or a portal take our inventory, take our listings, take our photography, take our write-up, put all of that online, and then sell the leads that came in.
It's insane.
Right? What other industry?
It's insane.
What other industry gives all that free content? Right? We're here. We are doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You're creating all this yourself. It would be like if somebody else took this podcast, posted it, and then they sold it.
Right.
What other industry does that?
It's crazy.
So we sort of let it get away from us. So now fast forward, what's going on now? There's a lot of friction between what I would say is what's right and what's wrong. So it really boils down to simplicity to homeowner choice. And, you know, homeowners, I feel bad for them because on average, they sell a home every 13 years now. Right. So the industry has changed massively in 13 years. But let's say you're even, you know, younger and you bought your first and you're selling your second. Even a few years ago, we weren't talking about this. So now you go to sell your home and it goes online and you have to think about the websites that they're on. Is that helping me or hurting me?
Right.
So can we talk about Zillow?
Yeah.
For a moment?
I'm ready.
So I list my home.
Yep.
And I've agreed with my agent, a great Compass agent, what the list price should be, right? Let's say $1 million. And then Zillow, you put it on the MLS, Zillow takes that information, posts it, and then Zillow puts their own value on it. So let's just pause there for a moment.
It's crazy.
This is a marketing tool.
Right.
And they're telling consumers, and it's 99% of the time, it's a lower number.
Right.
So let's just, you know, that's one thing. Then you scroll down, and then you see they put these other insights, walkability score. I'm seeing heat score now. I don't even know what the heat score means.
I don't either.
But there was a major heat score on a listing.
Yes.
And then you scroll down a little further. Now what they're doing is they're coaching potential buyers on what to offer on the home. They say, this is what a strong offer. And I say to myself,
crazy.
Wait a second. As a homeowner, why would I want to do this?
Right.
So what's going on is Zillow is saying you must be on our website. Zillow has spent $100 million a year in marketing to convince homeowners that they are crucial to the home selling process. And it's just not true. I would argue 20 years ago when they were the only game in town, you needed to be there. Now, you can be on Realtor.com.
There's so many sites.
125 million views a month.
Yep.
Homes.com, 96 million. Compass, 6 million websites of visits a month.
Yep.
You won't be lost. People are going to see your property. And you just have to, so it's all about choice, right? So homeowners should be able to choose how they market their home. So that's the Zillow piece. And then there's other things going on with organized real estate, NAR, MLSs, et cetera, that are forcing sellers to put their property on the MLS within 24 hours. Just, you know, it doesn't happen in other countries this way.
No.
Like in Canada, it doesn't go like this. In South Africa, in Australia, all these other markets, this is not what happens. And we've let these and here's their business model. Their business model is based on selling leads to agents who may or may not work in that zip code,
right,
or may not be experienced,
right.
So that's sort of what's going on.
It's a lot. And when I went on a rant that didn't go necessarily viral, but definitely got some views. And I just went on a rant because we are investing a ton of money into these listings. So for then a Zillow to gobble it up and put it up, and then when you click contact agent, you're not contacting the person who just spent thousands of dollars on photography and staging.
Sure. But put that, I mean, that's important from the agent perspective.
Yeah.
But here's what's very cool. So we tracked all of our listings last year that used pre-marketing. Pre-marketing being private exclusive and coming soon before it goes to the MLS.
Yes.
Those versus the homes that went right to the MLS. The homes that use pre-marketing sell 2.9% higher.
It's a lot of money.
2.9. So take that $1 million sale. That's $29,000.
Yeah.
And Zillow and MLS and NAR are saying, don't do that.
Yep.
So that's why I get so passionate, because why should some third-party entity or trade group diminish a homeowner's ability to have a strategic marketing plan to generate a better result?
Right.
It's unheard of.
It's insane. And I always say, like, we're a marketing firm that sells houses. So for us, like, we have a marketing process. It is that private exclusive. It is that Compass agent relationship. We have brokers opens. We have private exclusive walkthroughs. We do have amazing relationships with the other Compass agents. We have a listing coming right now. We're getting ready to post on private exclusive. The seller wants a number. We don't think they can get it. Yeah, a little teaser. But we don't think, they want a higher number. So instead of throwing it up and ruining our first chance, at the market, we're walking other agents through.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And it's so important when pricing. So I live in Centerville. I have a kind of a unique home that's kind of hard to price.
Yes.
I would not want to go on without getting that feedback, doing that price discovery with some of the best agents in the industry, not just at Compass. I would call my friends at other companies, right?
Sure.
But organized real estate is saying, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Crazy.
And it's all about control, and it's all about their bottom line.
Right.
But I gotta be honest, Mary Kate, now I don't know if I would ever allow my personal residence to be on Zillow. I'm not even sure, this is going to be a little, some people won't agree with me. I don't even know if I'd put my house in the MLS.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
Because we have the ability to network internally and externally to get all of the eyes we need.
Yep.
Test the high price. Because let's say I want to sell my house, and many sellers say, listen, if I can get X, I'll sell. If I don't get X, I don't need to sell, and I'm going to wait. I don't want that price history living anywhere. I don't want somebody to say, oh, John went on last year at $1 million, he didn't get it. There must be something wrong with it.
Right.
So that's sort of the benefit of the strategy. Now, we do have clients who need to sell very quickly. So we just do it we can do that same 3-phase marketing in a short period of time. So there's all that optionality, but I think it's too scary to.
No, and I wouldn't put my house up on Zillow either. I would not. And there's a lot of reasons. I think it's weird. Like sometimes it's like crazy. I'm like, this is people's inside of their houses. Sometimes you can see pictures of their kids on the wall. It's sometimes it's crazy.
A lot of clients, especially in our higher price points, value that privacy.
Privacy. So, and I do think, we are in a relationship business, and I do think a lot of business is happening offline. And it's a lot of times not what you know, it's who you know.
I think one of the questions you had suggested you were going to talk about was where do I see the industry going? And two things I would just want to touch on. These changes are actually bringing something to light that I think is important. I think there's this misnomer that it's a one size fits all, but think about any other high-end product or any other advisory services. Think about wealth management. There's all kinds of different business models out there, right? You can go robo-trade on Vanguard, or you can have private client wealth services through JP Morgan Chase. So we are sort of that upper level advisory.
Yep.
And it's not a one size fits all. Selling a 2-bedroom condo versus an estate, very different marketing plans.
Definitely.
And I think that's coming to light, and that's good for consumers, right?
Yeah.
Consumers should have choice in that. And I also think that you're going to see a continued consolidation in the industry and a flight to quality, because for most people, their home is their largest asset.
Yeah.
And there's just too much at risk to take a chance. So listen, we've got the best agent. I think you said this earlier. It's like, whether they work with you or not, but at least work with a Compass agent.
Have to work with a Compass
because and that's not bragging. That's
no.
I think we have all of the tools, technology, training, marketing, et cetera, to ensure that you get the highest result.
Yep.
And we're going to give you the right guidance.
Yep.
So I think that's really powerful right now.
And I just think it helps. Like if you're in this, I think a lot of people at Compass especially are in this for the right reasons. We are very consumer focused. We want to make sure, people are being taken care of. And Vincent and I both got into this business. Vincent's parents foreclosed on their house, right? Like, I got into this I just want to ultimately help people. I relate to you a lot on that.
Yeah.
And I think if we put the consumer first, and whether it's with me or another agent, like at the end of the day, like this is people's biggest asset. asset or biggest purchase. And a lot of times we are working with first time home buyers. This is every penny they have. This is, they've been saving for years. And we take that job like very seriously. So whether it's with us, and if we get to a point, like we don't take on deals in Philly.
Right.
We're licensed in PA, but we're not the best agent. Like I know where our line and our boundaries are. So whether it's with us or another agent, please let it be a Compass agent. I say that a lot. And no shade to the other brokerages. I think there's amazing people out there doing amazing things. But
for sure,
you know, that's what I would do. So let's pivot a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk more about you. So you're a father. You have 3 daughters.
3 girls. Yeah. 3 teenagers.
How are we balancing all of this? Especially, I mean, you were sales with three daughters.
Yeah. So I had already kind of transitioned to management. So that was kind of nice to have that balance.
Nice.
I still work as many, if not more hours than I ever worked in sales, but I get a little bit more control over it. I mean, I do love what I do. I love my job. And now my girls are at ages, they're all teenagers where they're very independent. They've got their own lives and it's fun to, you know, travel together, have dinner together. And I don't know if I've learned more from being a parent that I've applied to real estate, or I've learned more from real estate.
I love that.
Managing a lot of, you know,
people,
agents who are kind of like my kids sometimes.
Yes, we're all crybabies.
and I've joked sometimes I feel like I'm better at the manager than the dad.
Sure.
But you know, I think years have just taught me some wisdom about being patient.
Yes.
Doing more listening than solving in the beginning, right? So I think in our industry, it's like an agent comes with a problem and immediately we try to solve it. Sometimes you just got to listen. And sometimes an agent needs to talk about what the day they're having or the challenge, right? And same. So I think I learned it in real estate first, and then I try to apply it to my children.
That's amazing. Well, they're lucky to have you then, because I do think, especially at that age, I know I battled with my parents in the high school era. I say all the time, like, I've got the babies with Vincent. I got the babies. Like, I've got this with my eyes closed. I was born to be a mom. But when we hit those teenage, thank you. When we hit those teenage years, I'm a little nervous. And Vincent's the one, he coaches, you know, high school lacrosse. The high school kids really resonate with him. For
sure.
So whenever I get frustrated with the babies, he's like, my time is coming.
That's
like,
right. Well, I guarantee you're doing all the right things. So when those years come, it'll be easier. And that's what you just have to, just in growing your real estate business, you have to have faith. Like I went to like I went to the office every day and I just planted those seeds. And I just listened and I listened to my mentor, and I just trusted that they will come to fruition. Same thing with parenting. You keep talking about things, you plant those seeds. And it does.
We're 4 years in at Trolley Trends, our like neighborhood Instagram page. And I just got a lead yesterday. I've been following you guys on Instagram for 4 years. I want to buy a house in Trolley. And it's been 4 years of Trolley Trends. 4 years. And I think, you know, Vincent's always harping on the younger agents on our team. Like, you know, you don't meet someone and close a deal tomorrow with them. Like sometimes it takes 10 years.
I'll share the parenting version of that if I could. So this is a couple months ago. My daughter, if she ever gets this, will be embarrassed. So it was like a Friday evening, 6:00. And my 17-year-old came in. She's like, Dad, I'm supposed to go to this concert. My friend bailed on me. I'm so annoyed. Will you go to the concert with me?
It's amazing.
And I was like, that feels good. For my 17-year-old daughter to be willing to take her dorky dad up to this concert.
Amazing.
At the Stone Pony in Asbury Park. And we had such a fun time.
If we could all be so lucky, like I could I pray for that. That's all I want. That's my number one goal in life, is that my kids want to come home and want to spend time with me.
Of course, I wear the Compass hat on and I posted on Instagram.
Got to get some networking in while we're here. Got to get some branding. We're walking billboards. You know we're big on swag.
Absolutely.
We are walking billboards.
Always on brand. You got your black and white. I know.
I'm pretty steady on the black and white. Yes. All right. So let's rapid fire. Would you consider yourself a Delaware guy?
Everybody thinks I grew up in Chatsworth, Pennsylvania.
Right.
So, but
it's all the same.
Yeah, it's
all the same.
It's whatever people want me to be.
All right. So we'll rapid fire some, and it can be Delaware, PA. We're going to go through John Bilek's favorites. So, favorite takeout spot, if we're like last minute dinner, Friday night on the couch.
You know, Pizzeria Maki. It's so easy because you can get pizza and sushi. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's been a game changer since that place opened. I love their sushi. Okay, what's your go-to like fancy dinner? We're sitting at a table. We're entertaining someone.
I love the Coin in town. I think that is feels like New York when you're there. I do like to entertain at my own house. I've had a lot of Compass events there. But then in a pinch, I'm 200 yards to Buckley's front door.
How could you not?
I'm just there a lot.
I'm sure. Yes, that's like us with everything in Trolley. Amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, are you a coffee guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't.
I grew up drinking real estate office coffee. So that's my coffee.
All right, so you don't hit a coffee shop in the morning or anything?
I don't.
You're not a coffee guy?
No. I mean, if I do hit the coffee shop, I go to Brouhaha.
Okay, so we would do Brouhaha. All right, see, you are a Delaware guy.
Yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not. Okay, Delaware guy. All right, cool. So what is best pizza? What's your go-to pizza?
Chow pizza. I used to
Price's
be
Corner or Gianni's?
Gianni's. Now.
Gianni's, good.
Yeah,
Good
sure.
answer. That's our go-to. So I ate Gianni's chow at the time before every single high school volleyball and basketball game.
It's the best.
Same
I
meal
like a thin
every
crust.
time.
Yep.
Gianni in there, he's crazy. We love him.
For sure.
We hit him up for catering all the
great.
time.
Yeah.
All the time. Any other, what's like your favorite local business in Delaware? Like a shop, a gym, any small local businesses you love to frequent?
It's funny. I just posted something on Instagram. It was something, I think, from Visit Rehoboth. It was just this like little reel that says Delaware's underrated. Most people just don't know about Delaware.
Yes, I agree.
So, I live in Centerville. I've got like access to Flintwood trails. I can go on a run. I run a lot. I do the half or the full marathon down in Rehoboth every December. And we've just got all these little pockets of cool things to do. So, all the state parks, Brandywine Creek State Park. Love going down to Lewis and Rehoboth and all the beach towns.
Yep.
I could go on and on.
I love it. All right. So last question. What advice, and you, besides obviously come to Compass, what advice would you give to someone? We do have a lot of young listeners, a lot of people. I get a lot of DMs that are like moms or I want to become an agent. You guys look like you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And we are having fun. It's not all fun.
You're working hard though.
We're working very hard, long hours, long weekends, long nights. But what advice would you give to someone that's like, maybe I'll get into real estate?
Yeah. Getting in today is very different than when I got into it. But what has not changed is find yourself a good mentor. I've been so lucky at every stage of my career that I've had great mentors. I hope that I'm giving half of that back to the people. So reach out to people like me and just say, hey, I just got a link. Somebody on LinkedIn just pinged me this morning. Hey, could my friend connect with you to talk about real estate? And I said, absolutely.
Right.
There's a lot of options out there. You can waste a lot of time and waste a lot of money trying to build a business in real estate. But talk to a number of people and find out what's going to feel right to you as far as joining a team. I do think joining a team is probably the best bet for brand new to the business.
That's what I always tell people.
It's very, very hard.
It's a lonely business.
It can be very lonely. And that doesn't mean you have to be in a team forever.
Right.
But I would encourage you to think about talking to a number of people who've been
God
around.
forbid you go on vacation. And that's the one weekend
so
your dream home's going to come for your number one buyer.
You need to find balance in this business too. If I could keep going, one thing. So the other thing that my mentors, they said, John, you can work 7 days, 24 hours a day, right? 365. You know this. And I see agents trying to not do that, but they can't get out of that.
Yeah.
I blocked a full day from day one. Thursdays were my day.
Tom Ferry says that. Vincent used to do Tom Ferry
Thursdays, you could not get them. You couldn't get on my calendar. Maybe a closing, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't take calls.
And you did Thursdays?
Thursdays. And then as my business grew, I took Thursdays and Saturdays.
Wow,
so
good for you.
I took 2 full days off a week. That doesn't mean I didn't check an email or text.
Even not taking appointments.
Even today, I turned off email notifications on my phone because when I'm in a meeting, I want to be in the moment and stay focused on the individual.
That's amazing.
So it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get just caught up in the busy. There are people making millions and millions of dollars who have control over their calendar. Yeah. So that's my other bit of advice. I need to take that advice myself. Yeah, for sure. We're in the thick of that right now. And Vincent does a better job than I do. Yeah. He tried Mondays for a while. I don't think Monday's the right day for a real estate agent. No, Thursdays was the slow day, slowest. Yes. That's why I took Thursdays off. Yeah, that's smart. Maybe we'll start that soon. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people follow you? You're on Instagram now. I am Instagram. You had your marketing people do that. Yeah, I think I've got a decent following. You're great. And you do the Sunday open houses as well. We love that. He'll pop into our open houses occasionally. You were here for St. Patrick's Day. That's right. That's right. So yes, follow him. Is it just at John Bilek? It is. At Bilek John. At Bilek John. So you can follow him on Instagram. All the amazing things that he's doing at Compass. We're very fortunate to have you locally. Thanks. Fortunate to have you at Compass in general. We look up to you a ton. And I know Vincent's called you on a Saturday for advice or whatever. So we appreciate everything you do for us. And yeah, we're so grateful for Compass and everything you do. Thanks. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for another awesome episode of Life on the Ave. And we'll see you next week.